Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. If you were traveling last week, welcome back to the reality of the world. Our first full work week in a while. 866-496-8772. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We have service centers in 3 locations, physical service centers. This will become important later in the show. We also have virtual support that we do over the internet, over the Schrock desk, which is our own remote connection service that we have at SchrockInnovations.com. That will also become very important here later in the show. 3 locations, 27th and Pine Lake Road in Lincoln. That service center is going to be moving soon. I need to post, I have a ton of pictures. It's kind of funny. I've got pictures over time as the service center has been built. I've been going in every Tuesday when I go down to do the Compute This TV segment, the Tech Tuesday, and go to the TV station in Lincoln, and I go to the new service center and I take pictures. So I have like a weekly run. You can kind of see the place going from like completely empty bay all the way to done. And I need to put those together in a montage and throw them up on Facebook for you so you can take a look at it. By the way, speaking of Facebook, we are broadcasting live right now, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. You can join the program there. You can watch it live. We do answer questions during the commercial break there in the chat stream. Also, after the radio show, we do a little secondary segment called the After Schrock. Last week's After Schrock is getting passed around a little bit because I mentioned a couple weeks ago that we were working on some tech upgrades for the studio. And last week, we were joined in the Aftershock by Scott Voorhees, who was talking about the studio upgrades that are coming, and that Schrock Innovations is providing the technology to make those studio upgrades happen as far as the computerization and televisation of a radio station. So basically, we're putting cameras everywhere. And I asked Scott in the Aftershock, I was like, Are radio hosts going to have to wear like ties and shirts and stuff now, or can they still come in their AC/DC t-shirt and do their radio show? And he's like, it's completely up to them. So no mesh shirts. That was. So yeah, don't miss the Aftershock. It's fun stuff. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping that we've got to take care of here today. The month is over, right? Right? Okay. So we're officially almost halfway through the year now. Can you believe that? We're halfway through 2019. It's going to be 2020 in just over 6 months, and I don't have a flying car. What's up with that? So a little bit of housekeeping. Last month, we had our Surge Protector sale, and it was actually hilarious because as I've explained before, we do surge protector sales. In the past, we used to do them every year. As we talked to people about the need to replace surge protectors every year, people just didn't know that you're supposed to replace them every year. Then we came up, this one company, Eaton, makes this amazing surge protector that has an audible alert. It chirps like a cricket when it's fried. And so that way you can keep it on and it runs forever. It just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. And then when you have to replace it, you have to replace it. Well, when you have a product that literally lasts years, what ends up happening is kind of like selling mattresses or selling refrigerators. You eventually run out of new people to sell mattresses and refrigerators to, right? So every year we saw declining sales on the surge protectors, and it got so bad to the point one year we just said, there's no point of running a special on the radio on this because we're selling 15 surge protectors in a month. I mean, it's not worth a radio segment. So we stopped doing it for about 4 years. And because this was our 20th anniversary, we were bringing all the old stuff back. We brought back the surge protector sale last year, figuring, we had 60 in stock. Okay. That's going to be plenty because all those ones we've sold, years and years and years ago, they're still perfectly fine. Well, turns out 60 wasn't enough. We sold those out in the first day. We're like, oh, biscuits. I guess the radio show's grown in popularity a little bit. Well, I'll order another 60. That ought to be fine. Because, we always get a first big push when we first do the radio show. Then after that, it kind of dwindles down through the month until at the end of the month. So I order another 60. Those were gone before I did the next radio show. And so if you're still waiting for a surge protector, we are getting more in. We're getting the final shipment in. The sale is over. Now it's been removed from the website. So the half price sale on surge protectors is done. That was the May special, which leads me to the next thing, the June special. We've been talking, you've been hearing stories throughout the past month about security and your smartphones. During the aftershock specifically, we've talked a little bit about what we have coming. Like I said, you get some of the inside baseball stuff during the aftershock. When it's ready to go and packaged up and ready to go live on the radio, then it goes here in the program. But Symantec Endpoint has been perfecting their semantic endpoint protection for mobile devices for quite a while now. As you know, if you have our Symantec Endpoint product, you just got a big upgrade to the new Symantec Endpoint service. About 3,200 of our 4,400 customers have upgraded to that new service. The rest of you just haven't turned on your computers yet. So if you have a computer you don't use very often, maybe something that you put Endpoint on because you use it when you travel, for example, if you could take a moment to turn that computer on and let it get all of its updates and get caught up, because it needs to download and install that new Symantec Endpoint software and get you moved into the new version of Endpoint. It looks different than the old version did. So when you open it up, let me open up mine here real quick so I can give you a specific thing, because I know the next question is going to be, we're going to get exploded with phone calls about what do I have the new Endpoint, or should I turn my computer on? It has a window that comes up and says Endpoint Protection Cloud, you are protected, and it's got a screen with a green check mark on it. So it looks different than the old clunkier version of Endpoint did. So if you have the old clunky version still, we need to get you moved into the new one. So you can do that by just turning your computer on and checking for updates. It will go ahead and do it all itself. It'll ask you to restart the whole bit. There's still about 800 of you who have not done that yet. If you wait until I think it's July 1st, then you will be removed from Endpoint and your computer won't be protected. So you have to move up to the new software. And a couple of reasons this is going on is, number one, the world is becoming a very much more complex and dangerous place. We have stories in the program today that Google is actually going to start killing ad blockers, so that your ad blocker, your AdBlock Plus that we recommend, or if you use uBlock Origin, they're not going to work in Google Chrome anymore. And we're going to go into the story about why that is. Gee, I wonder why Google would want to kill off ad blockers. But it's not quite that. That's a very glib way to say it. At the end result might be beneficial, but they have a very good reason for doing it. It's just not going to be good for the consumer in the end of the day. So there's all that going on. So you have security things coming up. I have a story here. I mean, this is just the mobile side of things. Mobile Chrome, Safari, and Firefox failed to show phishing warnings for a year. Phishing is like PH phishing, not phishing like with an F, not like Jesus phishing. This is phishing for like getting you to click on links, or getting you, you go to a website or Google something and then you get a bunch of results, and some of those results are fake. So you tap on them and it takes you to a fake website that throws up the big, tech support, call the 800 number thing on your screen. This is happening on phones now as well. And so this is a phishing attack. They're throwing their line in the water and seeing who they can reel back in. For more than a year, all of the major browsers were not properly blocking that. If you can't count on your browser to block that stuff, you have to have a security product to do it. Unfortunately, there just isn't a good security product for phones until now that would do that level of blocking. Now, in the past, we always recommend, oh gosh, what was the one we recommended for phones? I can't think of it now. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Somebody hit me on Facebook. Tell me what I'm trying to say. But there was a piece of software, an app that was free that we recommended. Lookout. That's what it was. Thank you. Lookout for your phones. It was free. You could load it on there, and it monitored apps on your phones, because that was the only way you could really get a virus in the phone. That has changed. So we have this warning here about them not blocking phishing attacks. You can't hit Alt F4 on your phone when a full screen Chromeless window takes over your entire phone display. And you can't close it. And every time you open your browser, it goes back to that same page. Literally, we were talking about this on the radio about a week or two ago, and I was talking about it in the service center, and Nikki in the Papillion Service Center says, I haven't been able to use Safari on my phone for a year. Why? This is why. She literally couldn't open it. I'm like, Nikki, come on, Nikki. You work at a computer. Maybe you thought maybe one of the guys could help you with that a little bit, it's just like, it just never occurred to me that it's a problem with my phone and the computer repair guys could fix it. And all phones are anymore. It's a computer with a little phone strapped to it. So yes, we can fix that. Another thing, new attack creates a ghost tap on modern Android phones. Academics abuse near-field communication devices with capacitive touchscreens to give it fake taps. Now, a fake tap is like a fake touch on the screen. If I can simulate a touch on your screen, I can simulate an ad click. If I can simulate an ad click, I can make a lot of money clicking on my own ads. You could see why somebody with nefarious intent would be very interested in registering fake clicks on your phone device. Android and iOS devices impacted by new sensor calibration attack. The sensor ID technique can track users across apps and websites using sensor calibration data. I didn't even know you could calibrate your sensor on your phone. Has anybody ever calculated the sensors on their phone before? But yeah, apparently this sensor calibration can carry all this stuff over and basically leak all this data to unknown third parties. Last week, WhatsApp, a huge bug in WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the encrypted security application, encrypted texting communications application. It's used by people around the world who don't want their sometimes oppressive governments or, boyfriends or girlfriends, I guess, nosing into what they're sending back and forth. It encrypts everything end to end on the phone. Well, there was a bug in WhatsApp that somebody could call your WhatsApp. So basically, when you think about WhatsApp, you load it on your phone and somebody else loads it on their phone, and you can call phone to phone, completely encrypted. It doesn't go through the carrier, so it doesn't go through the cellular carrier. Your internet service provider has no idea what you're saying because it's all encrypted. It's a completely secure way to make a call. An Israeli firm found out if we just do X, Y, and Z, we can literally implant spyware on your phone just by sending a WhatsApp call to your phone. So if you have WhatsApp installed and you get a call, even if you don't answer the call, the malware gets implanted, and now all of a sudden they can decrypt everything you send through WhatsApp. Wow. Who's protecting you from that? Lookout can't do that. That's not a problematic app. Now what we're seeing is criminals are using apps on your phone in the service center. They're using apps on your phone to go through and basically find if we do the X and we do Y, then we get Z. And this is how breaches start. This is how things happen. Now, in the service center, literally, I was giving the example to a customer of, okay, so it's Memorial Day, you're at home, all the kids and grandkids are there. One of them gets your phone. It starts installing all kinds of stupid free game apps on your phone. And they're having fun. They're playing free games. They're not spending money, whatever. They're quiet. Hey, it's great. Quiet day. Well, then all of a sudden, an update comes down next week for a couple of those free games that were installed. They were completely legitimate free games when the kid installed them. But then they push an update down for that app. And that update infects the phone. It causes the phone to monitor things or do things because when that game was installed and it said, we need access to your microphone. Do you grant it? The kid clicked allow. We need access to your camera. Allow. We need access to, this, that, and the other. Your contacts, your emails, your allow. And then when the update comes down, you've technically allowed all of these things to have access. And now the update can scoop all that data out and shoot it back to its servers before Google can figure out what's happening and remove it from the App Store. And same thing with Apple. The same thing happens with iOS. The walled garden is crashing down due in large part to a Supreme Court decision that's saying that Apple is basically their walled garden is anti-competitive. Apple is not is basically boxing out competition by requiring everyone to use their app store and not allowing you to use anyone else's app store. Amazon has an app store, by the way, but you didn't know that. But on Android, you can use the Amazon app store. You can't do that on Apple. And you can save a lot of money in the Amazon app store too. Everything is cheaper there, of course. So the long and the short of it here is mobile security is a real thing. This is just like in 2002, 2003, when we were on the radio we started off in KFOR in Lincoln, Nebraska. And, the first day we got on the radio, we had a half an hour radio show, and I'd never done radio before. And I had Kobe Mack sitting across from me and Thor, where are you located? Like, hey, dummy, talk about your location. Hey, Thor, what's the call-in number? Oh, yeah, the call-in number is this. Just reminding me to do all this stuff that I just do now out of habit. Well, one of the first things we had to convince people of was you got to have antivirus on your computer. Now, that sounds really silly right now today. Like, that sounds 2019 stupid, right? I mean, duh, you really need security stuff on your computer. But back then, in 2001, 2002, the viruses were called like the stoned monkey virus. I actually fixed that. Was the first virus I ever fixed on a computer was the stoned monkey virus. And when you turned on your computer, it caused the computer to draw a little ASCII character of a monkey smoking a nefarious herb and basically laughing, ha ha ha. And then it would go on and boot your computer. It was just a joke. that we went from that, protect yourself from these stoned monkey jokes, all the way to, oh my gosh, the world will end if this virus takes. We got a story coming up. If you're running a Windows 7 computer still, and you don't have your updates yet, it's time to get those done right now. Because there is a big problem. And also, if you did do those updates for Windows 7, it could be causing your computer to crash because your antivirus is conflicting with it. And the antivirus developers don't want to spend a lot of time working on Windows 7 because Windows 7 is going out. So the moral of the story, guys, is we today officially are changing our recommendation from Outlook to Semantic Endpoint Cloud for your phone. It's called SEP, Semantic Endpoint Protection Cloud. And it's available from Schrock Innovations, and we're going to do something crazy this month. Now, we do an endpoint sale once a year, and this is something we do every year. And funny, there's always more infected people that need endpoint, so we don't say we pull that sale back because, you need endpoint. Now, the thing is, with our endpoint services, typically it's $160 the first year you get endpoint, and then it's $65 a year to renew it every year, which is actually cheaper than a lot of the commercial or the consumer grade stuff. Endpoint is the big Mac Daddy of antivirus. It is the #1/2 best in the world. It competes with the other one that they trade spaces with, basically, is Kaspersky, the Russian-made antivirus product. They have a little bit of a leg up. A lot of the stuff's made in Russia, the viruses and stuff. They see them first. So basically, Kaspersky and Semantic Endpoint go back and forth as far as which one is the best one around. Semantic Endpoint is an American-made product. It is fully American-made, fully run in America. And now it's available for your smartphone. We've been recommending it for a computer forever. 160 when you first get it, 65 each additional year to renew it. We're going to put it on special so you can get it for your computer. If you don't have any antivirus on your computer at all right now, you can get your Semantic Endpoint for $99 this month at Schrock Innovations. It'll be on sale all month. So it's $99 the first year, 65 each additional year. But the real big thing, the big wow. Now, if you've been following these sales, that's the little something, that's the regular sale, but we got to have a wow factor, right? Like oh, wow, I got to do that now kind of thing. So what we're going to do this month is, if you have a smartphone, which I'm sure many of you do, some of you probably have multiple smartphones in the family. You have one, your wife has one, the kids have one. If you have a smartphone in your family, you need to protect it. So we're going to go ahead and do Semantic Endpoint for $65. That is the renewal price for phones only. So that there's 2 endpoints on special. So let me make sure I'm very clear about this. If you want to put endpoint on your computer, it's $99 to put it on your computer for a year. And then after that, you do the $65 renewal. But if you want to put it on your phone, it's $65 the first year and $65 each additional year. At the conclusion of this sale, that price will go up to $160, just like it is for your computer, because the service is the same. The protection is the same. The work on our end is the same. We give you the same virus-free guarantee. If your phone gets hit just like Nikki's phone got hit, we will fix it for you. We can bring it in. We'll take care of it. We'll make it all better. The problem we have is we have to convince people, number one, that this is a real threat to your phone. We have gone from just a year ago saying there's no real threats out there right now because of the walled garden keeps Apple stuff pretty safe, and Android's getting better about removing apps that get into your phone and do nasty stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like somebody peeled back the veil of all the nastiness that was happening underneath these apps, all the data that they're collecting and sending back and forth. And it all started with Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. Just having the Facebook app, collects so much data on your phone. If some other app can get in there and tap that data, that's bad news. So I've had Semantic Endpoint on my phone now for a couple weeks, and because I wanted to test it myself before I recommended it to you in live real-time use. Number one, yesterday, it appears that Google released a security bug update yesterday for Android. Don't be surprised if your phone hasn't popped up and told you this yet. If you have an Android phone, there is a security update available for you. My phone last checked for its security updates on the 25th of May. So it checks every week or 2 weeks, something like that. My Semantic Endpoint popped up and told me it was released today. Install it now. You have one security issue on your device. Oh, wow. So I went ahead and installed it. That's great. Perfect. Then I did a Google search later in that afternoon, and I was going and tapping through links. I was trying to learn a few things about the Chinese trade war from the Asian perspective, which is always helpful to go back and like look at the Asian English newspapers and see what's being said in Asia about the trade war. And we're going to talk about Huawei here later in the show, or maybe the aftershock if we get to it there. And sure enough, I clicked on a link that was a phishing attack, and my Firefox mobile didn't stop it. Symantec Endpoint popped up and stopped it because they installed a VPN on your phone too with Endpoint Mobile. So it's an amazing product. We're going to tell you all about it here. We got to take a quick break in the program, but also coming up on the show, we're not only going to tell you about what Symantec Endpoint can do for your phone, we're also going to tell you how you can get it on your phone without having to come into the service center maybe. We've got some options now for you. I was R&Ding. We were doing last minute R&D on this yesterday, trying to figure out a way to make this easiest for everybody. And I think we have some solutions for you. So there's other stories that are not related to your phones ending your life and requiring security. Okay, here we go. Microsoft issues second warning about patching Bluekeep as proof of concept code goes public. This is this big nasty virus that could be as bad as WannaCry was. If you have a Windows, this is so bad they patched Windows XP for this, and they don't patch XP anymore. So make sure you get that done. Windows 1903 update gets its first update. So the update's getting an update. We're going to tell you how that's going here with Safe Upgrade. Windows 7 patch warning. If you do install those patches for 7, it could cause your computer to lock up. Salesforce says that its software is not supposed to be used to sell guns anymore. And let's see, Google is going to kill ad blockers in Chrome. We have a lot to do, folks, and all that and your calls coming up on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business. Schrock Innovations has spent nearly 2 decades working to make your technology life easier, and the all-new SchrockInnovations.com is no exception. Now you can order new modular computers and solid-state laptops directly from our website, secure your computer with our virus-free guaranteed Symantec Endpoint software, find innovative new technologies like our modular storage devices, and get free help and tips. Take a look at the specials section to find sales on one-of-a-kind items, display models, refurbished units, and our latest special offers. Swing by the Compute This page to watch TV segments and archived radio shows, or even get one-on-one help through the Schrock Desk. As always, we respect your privacy, so we secure our website with the latest encryption technology and only the most secure payment methods. You can pick up your purchases at any of our 3 service centers or have them shipped directly to your door. The new SchrockInnovations.com makes technology simple. It's what we do. Compute This Pro Tip 423. Everyone knows you need an antivirus and firewall program for your computer, but which one is the best? Should you use the free ones, pay for a commercial product, or maybe even the free stuff your internet service provider gives you? The absolute worst thing you can do is to install nothing. Windows 10 comes with Windows Defender, but Microsoft never intended it to be your primary antivirus product. Free antivirus like AVG or Avast are more effective than Windows Defender, but Consumer Reports ranks the free antivirus products in the middle of the pack when compared to their commercial competitors. As for the free software from your internet provider, forget about it. It's designed to protect their network, not your computer. There are 2 products that trade the crown for best antivirus software year after year. Schrock recommends Symantec products like Endpoint, but the Russian-made Kaspersky antivirus program also does an outstanding job. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. Funny story. Last week, Scott was running the board for me, and he used some AC/DC bumper music. And when we tried to upload the Compute This program to YouTube, where we put the video on every social platform we can, they actually flagged it for copyright violation, even though it's fair use. So it was one of those funny things. We actually got flagged by YouTube last week. Add that to my staple. Like, they're not banning me yet. Okay, I haven't been too conservative. They haven't banned me yet, but they are flagging me. 866-496-8772. Linda, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Good morning. I've been trying to install my upgrade, and I've done it like 5 different times. So I called into Papillion last week, and I talked to Parker, and he said something about there was some upgrade or some bugs that they were still working out on Windows. And so I was wondering, is it okay to try it again, or what?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that basically, with these big feature upgrades, Microsoft tests it against all hardware made in the last 4 years. Older than 4 years, they don't really check it. Sometimes customers that have older computers, we see this problem a lot where they, Schrock customers with their modular computers are flipping unicorns. Okay, that you keep your computer for 6 to 10 years. You're not supposed to do that anymore. Bad children. So unfortunately, they don't test a lot of that. So as time goes on, as the upgrade fails on computers, Microsoft sees those failures rack up, and then they prioritize based on demand and work on bug fixes for those individual things. So the first thing is try to run your safe upgrade program. For those of you who were out of town last week, Microsoft has dropped Windows 10 version 1903. It is out. You should run your safe upgrade. We sent follow-up emails to those of you who still have not run your safe upgrade product to go ahead and run that. We sent those emails yesterday. So if you have not run yours yet, you got an email. Make sure that you do run it. With that said, if you run Safe Upgrade and it doesn't complete for some reason, then the second thing is give us a call in the service center, and we will try to do it for you over the Schrock desk. There are several alternate methods that we can use that Microsoft gives us access to get that update to install on your computer. If we can't get it to install on the computer, we might ask you to bring the computer in because you could have some incompatible software. A lot of older computers that came from Windows 8 had that classic shell program on it. That's not compatible with Windows 10 anymore. We got to uninstall that before we can move forward. Some versions of McAfee are not compatible. We have to remove that before we can move forward. McAfee's really not doing well these days. So basically, we have to clear all this stuff up, and then we can move you forward and get you into the secure or into the update. And if we still can't do it after all of that, even in the service center, at that point, there's either a piece of hardware that needs to be swapped out because it's no longer compatible, or we have to wait a little bit for Microsoft to kind of put out another update. So Linda, thank you very much for the call. We do have you in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, but the answer is yes. Go ahead and try running it again, and if you have trouble, give us a call in the shop. You can talk to Parker or anybody else. We're happy to give you a hand with that. 866-496-8772. We're going to take our bottom of the hour break here to answer questions that are recurring on Facebook. Yes, Semantic Endpoint is available for iOS and Android. It's for Apple and Android. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back, get you all updated on everything else that's going on. Feels like the show's it's half gone, just like the year. Coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. Some people like desktops for their power and upgradability, but nothing rivals a laptop for computing on the go. But why should you have to sacrifice performance for portability? The innovators at Schrock want our customers to have it all, so we created a new kind of laptop, the solid-state laptop from Schrock Innovations. Solid-state laptops are built using the same frame and mainboards as regular laptops, but we've removed half of the moving parts while more than doubling the computer's speed. The result? Laptops that boot to Windows in 6 seconds or less, respond instantly to your commands, and can survive drops that put most laptops into the data recovery lab. Starting at only $499, solid-state laptops give you speed, reliability, durability, and performance for the same price most people pay for a cheap disposable laptop. The next time you're looking for a laptop, check out the solid-state laptops at SchrockInnovations.com or visit any of our service centers. Simple, solid, fast technology is what we do at Schrock. Compute This pro tip number 753. Have you ever wondered how the bad guys always seem to find a way into your computer? Gone are the good old days of email worms and I love you viruses. Nobody wants to steal your data anymore, or in many cases, even your identity. Today's cyber criminals want to sell access to your computer or hold your data for ransom. The bad guys are exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities to break into systems that are supposed to be hack-proof. These vulnerabilities are always newly discovered, and the criminals have a brief time to exploit them before they get patched. Antivirus and firewalls do not prevent these attacks, but you can minimize your computer's exposure by installing all security patches as quickly as possible. The average computer needs 12 patches a week. That's not including the ones that are automatically delivered to your computer. Boost your cybersecurity by staying on top of it manually, or use a patch installation program like Secure Updater to get your computer the patches it needs. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. A vigil was held last night for the 12 victims killed in a shooting at the Virginia Beach Municipal Center Friday. A news conference is slated for later this morning. Police say as bad as things were, it could have been worse.
Police say things could have been oh so much worse had officers not responded quickly to get people out of harm's way. But there are still so many questions unanswered, including what was the motive for this shooting. Now, investigators said that the gunman remained a city employee up until the moments before the shooting.
Fox's Mark Meredith. The discovery of sophisticated tunnels burrowed hundreds of feet underground are raising fears in Israel of terrorist attacks.
There is concern that Iranian-backed proxies like Hezbollah could launch attacks towards U.S. troops or U.S. allies like Israel in the region. Hezbollah is one of Iran's largest proxies with an estimated 25,000 active fighters.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Jerusalem. This is Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
A cool start to Sunday with temperatures in the 50s, but we'll see quick warming today under mostly sunny skies. Highs around 79 degrees. A few more clouds late this afternoon and this evening. Temperatures tonight dropping to around 57. We could see a few scattered storms around the area on Monday with a high around 78. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist David Keller on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. The things you missed during the commercial breaks. If you're watching live on Facebook, we just had an engaging conversation about, have you ever been reading something late at night on your smartphone and you're tired and you're reading something late at night, and as you're reading it, we started off by saying, have you ever read something and then like finished reading it and been like, what did I just read? And I'm like, yeah, that happens to me when I'm really tired and I'm falling asleep, especially right after I drop my smartphone on my face because I'm trying to read and I'm falling asleep. And I'm like, have you ever dropped your smartphone on your face? He's like, yeah, I've done that. So then I ask on Facebook, has anyone else out there ever dropped their smartphone on their face while they're trying to read something when they're really tired? Then it occurs to me, I thought that the blue light thing was supposed to keep you awake. Like they say, don't look at your phone for an hour before bedtime because the blue light will disrupt your sleep. I'm literally falling asleep, like it's popping me in the face. I mean, and so like, nobody responds. And then finally, Danny throws me a bone and says that she's done it. But it's like, I guess I'm the only one that's done that. All right. Well, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. 3 locations. Now, here's the deal. With the locations, the reason I'm pushing the locations today is we have the new semantic endpoint for mobile devices available at Schrock. We can install on Android phones over the Schrock desk, okay? So you don't have to come in if you have an Android phone. We can do that all over the phone. You can call. In fact, later on this afternoon, we're going to make it available on the website so you can purchase the and you can purchase this whether you have Android or iOS, but you can buy it on the website for $65, and then we can get it. We can put you in the queue basically to call you when we have an open Schrock desk slot to install it on your phone. Because we expect, here's the thing, we went from a world where people had 3 or 4 computers in their house to now people have a computer or 2 and 2 or 3 mobile devices. Because when you think about, you have phones, you have tablets, you have some Android phones, some iOS phones, the kids have phones, the grandkids have phones. You start adding it up, and there's a lot of mobile devices and things that need to be protected, probably about as many as we had computers back in the day. So the deal with the new semantic endpoint for mobile, if you have an Android device, we can install it over the Schrock desk. If you have an iOS device, if you have an Apple device, we can connect to your phone over the Schrock desk, but we can't control it. Apple does not allow, under any circumstances, any software to remotely control your iPhone, and that is for your own security. So ironically, we have a situation where your own security is preventing your own increased security. Unfortunately, for those of you who have Apple phones, you will have to come into the service center to have us install this on your phone. It only takes a few minutes to get it installed on your phone. Android users, we're required by Symantec to use Google Chrome to install on your phone. So you have to have Google Chrome installed. If you don't, we'll install it for you. We can always uninstall it when we're done. It's not a big deal. But we have to install through Chrome. Apple users, we have to install through Safari. It's very specific. Apple users are forced to have Safari, though, so that'll be fine. But yeah, if you want to stop into any of our 3 locations with your Apple device, you can stop into 27th and Pine Lake Road in Lincoln. You can stop into 168th and Burke in Omaha. you can stop in at 84th and Highway 370 in Papillion, and we will install Symantec Endpoint on your phone for you. Now, to do this, we're going to be installing apps on your phone. So if you have a password for your phone, make sure you know your password. So don't just grab all the kids' phones and bring them in and be like, oh, I needed to know the passwords. Yes, you need to know all the you should know all the kids' passwords anyway, if you know what I'm saying. But you should get all the passwords, get them gathered up, bring them in. Android users, we can do it live over the Schrock desk, so we can get you up and running and protected, because Google doesn't care about your security, so that's why you need us to. See, we can work this argument whichever way we need to go. All right, so some of the cool things about the new endpoint, 866-496-8772. The Symantec Endpoint Mobile, first of all, it monitors all apps on your phone to make sure that you don't have any, if the kids haven't installed any games on there that have since gone rogue. So it'll monitor that for you. Number two, as I mentioned earlier, it will check for operating system upgrades. So if you're not on the most recent version of the Apple iOS or Android operating systems, it will tell you that so that you can go get an upgrade from your carrier. Now, normally the phones will automatically check for this every week or 2 weeks, but a week or 2 weeks is the old, that, oh, it was okay as long as we got it done in a week. The new is this, the update that I got was a straight up security update. And you don't want to wait 2 weeks to install the straight up security update. You want to install it now. Now, the only limitation there is feature upgrades, as we know from Windows 10 here. Feature upgrades are a different ballpark, or a different game altogether. Feature upgrades can introduce new bugs and vulnerabilities. iOS users have experienced this before, so it's kind of a mixed bag with iOS sometimes. This next thing is it monitors the Wi-Fi networks around you, and it also tells you if there are any suspicious Wi-Fis in your area, which I thought was pretty cool. And you can go back in time. You can see in the last year, in the last 3 months, in the last 6 months. But it basically will let you know if your Wi-Fi in your home that you are connected to has adequate wireless security to keep your privacy and protect your device. So that's awesome. That's really neat. I mentioned it installs a VPN that will automatically go through and check for phishing websites. It does all the things you would expect a VPN to do, built right into Symantec Endpoint as well. So it also checks your cellular carrier to make sure your cellular carrier is legitimate. Why is that important? You guys have heard of Stingray devices, right? So cyber criminals are using these Stingray devices that were originally intended for law enforcement. You can find them on eBay. But they were originally intended for law enforcement, and what it does is it's a fake cell phone tower. So if I set up this fake cell phone tower, your phone is automatically programmed to hit the nearest cell phone tower, the strongest signal. If my fake tower is the strongest signal, now your phone is attached to my fake tower, and I'm a man in the middle. I pass that data on to the real tower, then passes responses back to me, which I send to you. So you don't know anything's going on, but I see everything you're doing because I'm the man in the middle. The new Symantec Endpoint Protection scans your cellular network to make sure that you're not getting hit by one of those devices. There are some, literally the security on these blows my mind. It's so much better than what Lookout had with, hey, we'll scan your apps, or what, McAfee has. People on Facebook are asking questions about, hey, so let me know why is Endpoint better than Sophos or better than Malwarebytes? Guys, Malwarebytes is an anti-malware program that is trying to be an antivirus program. It is not. It has nowhere near the industry experience that someone like a Symantec Endpoint has, especially for what you're paying for it. I would not subscribe to it. I would use it for the free version to clean my computer on a as-needed basis, because sometimes they find that the stuff in the gray area, we call them PUPs, potentially unwanted programs. These are in the gray area that they don't do anything nefarious. They're not hurting your computer, but they're also not doing anything for you. They're just slowing everything down and trying to make a buck for themselves in the middle at the same time. So there's no need to have them. Let's get rid of them. Malwarebytes detects those, but because they're not viruses, most antivirus programs don't detect those. Those are some of the reasons why. Sophos is what's recommended by this Facebook users company. And, Sophos is one of the few options that's available for Apple computers out there. It's been around for a very long time. It is also either discounted or free. Symantec Endpoint is available for Mac. It is available for PC. It is available for iOS, and it's now available for Android. So I guess the question is, if you're concerned about your security, you either are or you aren't. If you are concerned about your security, if you're asking the question, Symantec Endpoint is literally the best protection you can buy. How is it better than product X? and we could go into all the details about how this is better or that is better or this scanner is faster, or the Bloodhound detection technology is something that no other antivirus software has. It can detect a virus that it's never seen before, so it's not completely definition based. That would be the biggest reason to it's better than Sophos, for example. We can go into all that, but honestly, Symantec Endpoint is rated by Consumer Reports to be the best #1/2 protection available, going back years. So why would you run anything else? You know, Sophos is cheaper. I mean, Malwarebytes is cheaper, so I guess that could be a legit reason why. I'd rather have you running something like that than running nothing at all. But if you're concerned about your privacy, you either are or you aren't. And if you are, Symantec Endpoint is where you need to be. 866-496-8772 or Kaspersky. You can go with Kaspersky. I don't know what their mobile offering is. I haven't done a lot of market research on how does Symantec Endpoint mobile pair up with Kaspersky mobile, because we know Symantec Endpoint is the best thing available for your computer, and we know the reason that they've upgraded everybody and changed everything and invested all this money into Endpoint in the last 2 years was to get this product out the door. This was the whole reason why, because this is the future threatscape. Symantec Endpoint is where you want to be. Welcome to the program, John. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Yes, Thor. I was curious. You talked about using on your mobile the Firefox browser.
Yeah.
I too am concerned about security. What about the DuckDuckGo browser? I've been using DuckDuckGo as opposed to Google's to reduce my tracking.
Let me see. Now, it could be, I try to keep up on everything, but I believe DuckDuckGo is a search engine.
It is a search engine, and that's what I use on my computer. But for my iPhone, they actually have their own browser.
There you go. I see it now. The privacy browser. Okay. So gotcha. So this is new to me. I have not actually run this yet. So basically, the reason that I use Firefox, and this follows with why you're using the DuckDuckGo browser, is I know when I use Google Chrome, Google is watching every single thing that I do. I also know that all of the kids that work at Schrock use Google Chrome. I know that pretty much all of the developers on the planet use Google Chrome, so everything is developed for Chrome first and everybody else is an afterthought. So if you want the best browsing experience, you should use Chrome. Chrome is built on the open source engine Chromium, which is the open source thing. So if you want to go with Chromium instead, you can get Chromium, and it doesn't have all the tracking that Chrome has, but it has all the same features. I prefer Firefox because with Firefox, it's a nonprofit organization. They're not trying to make a buck off me. They're, from time to time, they'll ask for a donation. I've thrown a few bucks their way because I use their products and I like them a lot. One of the things that we're going to talk about here on the program is what's happening with the ad blockers coming up. So the reason that I like to use Firefox over something like a DuckDuckGo is the developed extensions and add-ons that are available. Now, with your DuckDuckGo browser, can you run Chrome or Android add-ons and extensions, or do they have their own marketplace for those things?
I have not tried any add-ons. I generally do not add add-ons to any of my browsers.
Okay.
The only add-ons I've added are ones that are security related.
Gotcha. So you don't have like a pop-up blocker, for example?
No.
Okay. So
I don't get pop-ups on I said
pop-up.
browser.
I should have said ads, an ad blocker, not a pop-up blocker. Pop-up blockers are so 2004. But like, for example, I have AdBlock Plus set up on Firefox. I know they make a Firefox extension, and I know they make a Chrome add-on. So basically, or extension add-on, I reversed those. But basically, that's the reason that I would prefer going with one of the major browsers, because it gives me a lot of flexibility. So for example, I had an application once where the device that I was monitoring was changing the input back to me, but I had to refresh the page to get that changed input. So to see what the device was doing, I had to constantly hit F5 to refresh the page. So I installed an add-on that I could set an auto refresh every 30 seconds, and then the page would refresh itself every 30 seconds, and then I had an always-on display. I didn't have to worry about it. So there's all kinds of silly little reasons why people like extensions and add-ons. That would be one of the big reasons that I would go with something like a Firefox, but there's no reason that there's nothing wrong with DuckDuckGo. They've got a very nice reputation as a a safe browsing community that doesn't track you and doesn't sell your information. So I can't imagine that their browser would be any different, John. Thank you very much for the call, and I appreciate the tip. I was not aware of that, and I'll look into that. 866-496-8772. So we mentioned here on the show that Google is going to cripple ad blocking in Chrome. So here, let me. This is how an adult says this. Google still plans to cripple ad blocking in Chrome, but enterprises will be exempt. And this is how normal people say it. My ad blocker isn't going to work in Google Chrome anymore. And here's how teenage kids would say it. Man, Chrome's going to nerf ad blockers? Yeah, they're going to nerf them. So nerf, to use a soft, squishy thing instead of a real gun. You know, they nerfed it. It doesn't hurt. You get shot, it doesn't hurt. Okay, that's nerfing. So here we go. Google has a legitimate reason for doing this. Unfortunately, I think the legitimate reason might be, okay, so what happens when your Google Chrome browser goes to get a web page is your browser reaches out to the internet, gets all the information, sucks it back into the browser, and puts it on the screen. When you install an ad blocker like AdBlock Plus, what happens is it adds a layer in the middle. Again, we're talking about a man in the middle. So it adds a layer in the middle. So you type in your request to your Google Chrome browser, and it sends that request to the internet. And the internet sends information back. But instead of your browser getting it first, the ad blocker gets it first. And it sorts through it all. And it says, these are links and URLs for advertising things. So we're just not going to pass those to your screen. So you just get a white space instead of an ad. Like the computer knows there's something that's supposed to be there, but it can't get the content. So number one, running an ad blocker makes the internet enjoyable again, because there's reasonable advertising, and then there's like, where did the story go? Because there's so many ads. And the ads are sometimes deceptive, like click here to read more. So you click the ad, and then all of a sudden you're on some ad site and you're like, where'd the story go? Sometimes you can't read the story at all because the ads are so overpowering. And so basically what ad blockers do is they prevent these ads from coming. They allow legitimate ads through. So Google has a relationship with many of the ad block companies where Google pays them a little bit of money and their ads get through, because Google has reasonable restrictions on how many ads you can put on a page. You can't run a Google Ads block with a whole bunch of other ad programs. So newspapers, like these pencil ads, they call them, they go across the top of your screen. They're like thin like a pencil. And then when you scroll, they expand down and take up half your screen and you have to scroll through them. Those are considered intrusive ads. And an ad blocker will block those ads from ever hitting your screen. So Google doesn't do things like that. So Google says this is the model for responsible advertising. So they partnered with all the companies, and somewhat kind of shady. We'll pay you a little money and you accept that we're the model for advertising, and you can block anything that doesn't follow our model. And they kind of set themselves up as the de facto, arbiter of what is fair advertising on a web page. And they can do that because they're that big. Well, now what Google is saying is having that man in the middle is unsafe, because that extension could scrape personal information. So your Facebook information, it's parsing everything that comes back through. You could see your banking information. So if the person running that extension was a nefarious actor, they could steal your information. Therefore, we have to change the way pop-up blockers or ad blockers work. We have to require that when we send a communication to the internet, the request goes out to the internet sends the information back, but Google Chrome gets the information first. And your extension, your ad blocker, can be programmed with up to 5,000 different rules, which is way not enough. uBlock has like 50,000 rules, I think, for its base case, and up to 500,000, depending on what's going on, because advertisers are smart and they change the way they do things so fast, trying to get past ad blockers. So the ad blockers have to constantly adjust to keep up with the advertisers. Well, Google says we'll give you up to 5,000 rules that you can program in, and so then your ad blocker will tell Google what Google is supposed to display or not display. So as a result, here's what's really going on here. It's not just about the ads. There are all kinds of additional tracking information related to ads that you never see on your screen that monitor where you've been. Why do you think it is? So ConnectWise makes the Screen Connect software that we use to run the Schrock desk. And so we have the self-run, do-it-yourself. Our server is in our service center for maximum security. It's not run through a cloud. It's our server in the Omaha service center when you're on the Schrock desk. Now, they've since realized They don't make a lot of money doing that because they sell the license one time and then it's gone. So now they make you do a cloud thing where you pay monthly for the seats and everything else, and it all goes through their web servers. We don't like that. We signed up for a quick trial though, because we thought maybe we could do iOS. We could get those Apple phones to do Schrock Desk installs if we just use this newer Schrock Desk thing. And no, it didn't work. But now on Facebook, on every page I go to, all I see are ads for ConnectWise everywhere. And it's like, oh my gosh. So they literally captured my information, even though I have ad blockers. So that information right now is what Google wants. And Google can't get that if you're running an ad blocker in many cases. So as a result, they're going to kill the ad blockers for your own privacy and protection. Again, most people probably won't stop using Google Chrome. It's about 52% of the browsing community right now. But if you were considering moving away from Chrome, I would highly recommend Firefox. Even the new version of Edge that's coming out is going to be based on Chromium. And by the way, the ad blockers will not work in Chromium. They're changing the open source software to make it that way. So you're going to have to go with Firefox or something like that if you want to maintain ad blocker security on your browser. 866-496-8772. Let's take that final break. We're a little bit late. Let's grab that last break in, and we'll wrap everything up when we come back next on Compute This.
Now you can configure and purchase laptops, desktops, tablets, and more, all at the new SchrockInnovations.com. Check out our specials for one-of-a-kind discounts and deals. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff. And that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This pro tip number 187. Recently, you may have received a phone call from someone claiming to be from Microsoft or had a message pop up on your screen telling you that your computer was infected. Do not respond to these calls or messages. They're always a scam. Microsoft will never call you about your computer. Here's how the scam actually shakes out. You get the phone call that your computer's infected. The scammers hit you with some mumbo jumbo about an infected IP address. They'll ask your permission to connect and help you fix it. Once they're in your computer, they do a bunch of fake scans that detect a lot of problems that really aren't there. You see the scan results and figure your computer's in trouble. Next, the scammers will demand up to $400 to clean up the computer and set you up with a lifetime protection. Don't fall for the scam. Keep good security software installed, like Endpoint and Secure Updater, so when things like this do happen, you know you are covered. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
All right, coming up on the Aftershock, guys. What does it actually mean to lollygag, and what is the etymology of lollygagging? We're going to figure that out because we're just having a discussion like, who does that? And then also, you can hear a story about the lovely Kimberly literally getting gagged with a spoon. Gotta love babies. Coming up in the Aftershock. All right, 866-496-8772. So we've spent a lot of time today on mobile security, and I apologize, it kind of overtook the entire show, but it touches everybody. Lots of questions on the Facebook live stream, and I'm going to recap this real quick. Semantic Endpoint is available now for Android and iOS from Schrock Innovations. We can install it on your Android phone over the Schrock desk. No need to come into the service center. Your Apple phone, we do have to have it in the service center to install it on there. It'll take about 5-10 minutes, and then you'll be in and out, depending on how long the line out the door is. Yeah. Make sure you know the password for the phones if you do bring them in, or if we remote into them, you'll need the password to unlock them, obviously, so we can remote in. If we're going to remote into your phone, you will need to, on your Android phone, you'll have to have Google Chrome installed. On your Apple phone, we'll use the Safari browser. The Semantic Endpoint will replace any other security program. If you have a Samsung phone, it will integrate completely with the Knox software that's on your phone. to maintain your security there. So it's really awesome stuff. I've been running this thing for a couple weeks now, guys. It is amazing. So that is all there. It's on special at Schrock this month for $65 for phones. That is the cheapest installation price we have ever offered for Symantec Endpoint. It is literally below our cost. $65 to install it on your phone and mobile devices, and the annual renewal is $65 a year after that. It is a per device, unfortunately. There's not a multi-user license kind of thing. It's per device. The reason for that is because we actually live monitor all of your devices. So if you end up with a security problem, we can actually remotely look and see, oh, there it is. Actually, one of the other cool things is now also we can lock your phone. If you lose your phone somewhere and you don't know where it's at, you can call us and we can remotely lock it if you have Endpoint installed. We can't wipe it or anything, but we can lock it so that you have to have a password to unlock it again. So just handy stuff to have, and something that everybody needs on every phone. This is not something that, again, this is a long-term campaign for us. So we're going to kick it off with a great sale this month. After June, it's going to go up to the regular price of $160. And then what's going to end up happening is we're going to sell it the same way we sell Endpoint on computers. We tell everybody they need it. Some people pay attention, some people don't. People who pay attention don't get infected. The people who don't pay attention get infected and they come into the service center. Then they have to pay a bunch of money for us to remove the infection. And then we ask them again, do you want Endpoint now? And they usually say yes. Sometimes they say no, and then they come back within a month reinfected again. Then we'll remove the infection for free just because we're nice. I'll remove it for free for you as long as you buy Endpoint because you need it. Do you see why you need it? So anyway, the best one was like somebody asked in the feed here. So why is Endpoint better than this other program I have? I mean, I did get infected running this other one, but why is Endpoint better? So you're running a security product and you got infected anyway. Why is Endpoint better? Okay. Salesforce tells customers its software isn't for gun sales. In a controversial move, the software company tries to limit what its software can be used for. Oh boy. So that's fun time. So yeah, the credit card companies are doing this too for gun stores. If you want to sell guns, you have trouble doing that. If you have Windows 7, make sure you've got your patches installed. If you're having trouble with your Windows 7 PC after you've installed the patches, it could be your antivirus software, specifically your Sophos antivirus software, could be causing the computer to not restart properly. So that could be what's going on there. Also, make sure if you have not done your Windows 10 upgrade for 1903 that you get that done. Safe Upgrade is still available at SchrockInnovations.com. You can buy it online. Later on today, we'll have the Endpoint security up there as well. It's also discounted for computers. Oh my gosh. I feel like I need another hour. We had 2 callers today, Linda and John. And guess what, guys? I'm giving you both a $25 gift card because I can't pick between you. So we're going to, there's only 2 callers. So we're going to send out one for each of you because that's how we roll at Compute This. All right, stay tuned for the Aftershock coming up next. I'm sure we're going to have tons of questions about phones and security and things like that. Also, lollygagging and babies gagging you with a spoon. Yeah, that's going to be pretty fun. Coming up on the Aftershock, and we'll see you again next weekend for another edition of Compute This.
This is News Radio 1110 KFAB Omaha. Online at KFAB.